Hello. So, who knows what day I'm on, but 365 days of daily YouTube posting sometimes is really easy because I have a lot that I want to share and say most of the time. But sometimes it's really challenging because I feel like I've got nothing. I just am not in the mood or I'm not thinking about it, but I choose to make these videos and share them with you because I think the messages I have going on in my head most of the time are useful. And I know they're useful because I get use out of them and my clients do. And I think they're topics that are just human topics. They're relatable to human beings and they'll help us as human beings grow. So, one of the things on my mind today is how it's so easy for us to point outside of ourselves and see a reason for suffering or lack or frustration. And sometimes when we look at what other people have done or what they're doing to us, it's hard to accept that. It's hard to see that sometimes the people we love or the people that we want to make an impact on or the people we care about aren't doing what we want them to do, or they're not reciprocating the way we wish they would. And it's very natural, I think, to yearn for people or things outside of ourselves to change. But I've noticed that what's even more challenging is to look within ourselves and find, I want to say find fault, but not just find fault, but find what are we contributing to the situation. And I think that can be a really hard pill to swallow. It's really uncomfortable and no one wants to hear that. When we feel we're being persecuted, or if we feel victimized, or if we feel that we're being wronged in some way, we don't want to hear that it takes two to tango. And we also don't want to hear that, well, we can't do anything about that other person or what's on the outside. We can only change ourselves. And the only way we can change the situation is by looking within and understanding, what are we bringing to the table? I just want to talk about that. I mean, can you relate? First of all, can you relate to that? To instances where you think this person is being such an a-hole, or they never listen, or I try so hard to influence them or show them the right way to do things, and in some way or another that person or people or that external environment isn't cooperating, isn't changing, isn't complying to our wishes. They are not doing what we want them to do. And it could be one person, a group of people, or a whole environment. It could be a whole culture, a whole society or community. I mean, what I want to share is true change happens within. If we want to impact someone else, if we want to improve a relationship or make a change in our society, it always will start within. And we often people waste so much of their energy and their focus on something external that they can never change, that they will never have power over changing. We lie to ourselves in thinking, if only they would listen to me, or if only I do this, then this external outcome will happen. But that's a lie. The truth is that we only have power over ourselves. And until we admit that and own that, we are truly disempowered. So if you think that you don't have a part in the problem that you're seeing, then you are not accepting your true power. If you think that you don't play a part in the very thing that you want to change, in the external, whatever it is, person, group of people, culture, if you think you don't play some role then you are disempowering yourself. Because the only way we can truly be empowered is if we know and own that there are patterns within us that we have the ability to change. There are dynamics that are happening because of our participation to some level, to some degree. And if you're not curious about that within yourself, then you're not willing to look within, and you're not willing to admit that you bring something to the table, and you are not owning the power you actually have to make it true impact. It'll always start with you. So I think that's a really tough pill to swallow, like I said earlier. Yeah, it's a hard thing. I know it. I mean, I'm sharing it because I know it. I'm not sharing it because it's a theory. I'm sharing it because I come up against it over and over again. And that's true inner work. Inner work is looking within and seeing what you bring, seeing the truth behind your behaviors, your actions, your motivations, seeing the truth behind your surface feelings and getting in touch with the deeper feelings underneath. And a lot of times what we find when we do this sort of self-inquiry is not pleasant. It does not make us look good. It does not make us feel good. It is coming in contact with the shadow. The shadow aspects of your personality are everything that your ego has worked so hard to dismiss, to hide, to push down, to make into something else. But when you get honest with yourself and you do this type of deep self-inquiry, you are coming in contact with your shadow. The benefit of that is you shine light on the parts of you that you have been separate from, which as a whole cuts you off from your true self. Doing shadow work is about coming into yourself as a whole person, the true you, no longer hiding, no longer lying to yourself about what this is really about. So many times people think that they're just helping other people. I'm just trying to be helpful. I'm just trying to, okay, but what's behind? Why are you working so hard to change someone else? What's behind that? I was that person, always working so hard to help other people. What was really behind that for me? Inferiority. I didn't feel good enough just being myself. Putting other people first because I was out of touch with myself. Finding ways to self-sabotage myself. Making excuses. Playing the martyr. Hoping people would recognize my suffering, recognize all my hard effort that I put into them so that I could get my own needs met, because subconsciously I was asking for my needs to be met, but I didn't know how to really ask. Didn't know how to ask for my needs to be met. And what I really needed deep down was to get in touch with myself. But no, I was always putting other people first. Do you have something like that? This is how we get deeper knowledge about ourselves. This is how we do self-inquiry to the point that we're shining light on our shadow aspects. We're taking ownership of what's really going on underneath the surface. On the outside, I looked super helpful. I looked healthy, happy, always helping other people, always giving. You get a lot of accolades for having certain behaviors, but only you can know the shadow aspect of that. Where is it really coming from? Is it really serving you? Is it taking you deeper into yourself, or is it taking you away from yourself? Do you know yourself? Are you owning yourself at a deep level? Are you balanced? Are you a balanced, healthy person, or do you tend to suffer unnecessarily? These questions matter. If you're always trying to prove yourself, trying to prove how, let's say, tough you are, you get mad, you get angry, you show people I'm big and strong and tough, and you should be afraid of me. If you feel like you need to prove that you're the tough guy, figure of speaking, because tough girl, tough guy, tough person, do you feel like you need to yell and scream and make demands and slam your fists on the table when things aren't going your way, and then make sure people respect you? Is that really important to you? And if that's you, what's underneath that? What kind of scared child were you, where you felt that you didn't get your needs met? You weren't allowed to have an opinion growing up. So at some point in your childhood, you made the decision, well, since no one listens to me, I'm going to make them listen to me. I'm going to be heard. I'm going to make myself known. I'm going to get bigger and louder and stronger. And then they can't tell me. Then they won't be able to dismiss me or bully me anymore. But what's underneath that bravado and that strength is still a hurting child. That's the shadow. The shadow is that you are more fragile than you put on. Your ego wants you to believe you're so strong and tough. You have all the respect of everyone around you. People fear you. You're the leader. That's the ego. What's underneath that? If we don't ask these questions, then we don't get in contact with ourselves, and we will continue to blame the external. We will continue to use the external for validation. We will continue to be triggered. Being triggered is about something on the outside pushing play on a pattern that lives in you. If you're in reaction, that's being triggered. It means that that pattern is alive in you. Your shadow is strong. Your shadow is alive and well. And your shadow is asking for light to be shed on it. If you notice that you're falling into repeating patterns that aren't serving you, repeating relationships that aren't serving you, you run into the same kind of problems in life with people, no matter where you go, that's just a sign that you're ready for shadow work. Ultimately, it's empowering. But in the beginning, shadow work feels very uncomfortable, because it'll tell you the truth of something that you've been hiding from everyone for so long, mostly from yourself. Okay, well, I hope you got good info out of that. It was mostly channeled. Sometimes I just need to shut off my brain and let other things help me through it, because like I said, sometimes it's just hard for me to think about what I'm gonna say. But that's also been something that's changed with my own shadow work. Realizing I don't need to do all of it. I don't need to force and do the work all the time. I don't need to be the one. I don't need to be the special one. It's made it a lot easier for me to call upon my guides and the light, ask them to help, and then I can just sit back. I don't have to make it hard on myself. I used to make things so hard on myself. There was a lot of ego that was driving that need to be challenged and suffering and proving that I'm enough and I can do it and I'll do it all by myself. I'm not down for that anymore. But I remember when I first got in touch with that ego tendency of mine, and so many people have that. I'm sure you know, many people, if you're watching this, you could probably relate to that type of ego that says, I gotta do it all, I gotta be impressive, I gotta prove my worth, I gotta do things for other people, and if it's easy, then I'm not trying hard enough. You know, if I didn't earn it, then it's not good. When I first realized all these patterns and what they really meant and where they came from and all of that, it was really challenging because I had to learn how to let that go, let things be easy. I had to learn how to delegate. I had to accept that I am not the most important one, and that I'm not that special either. Like, things will continue on if I'm not there. That's hard. That was the really uncomfortable part, and there was a lot more to that period of time in my life when all of these shadow aspects were getting some attention and worked on. But I just remember, you know, that was an uncomfortable part of the work. The benefit is down the road, it won't be so uncomfortable. There's going to be phases where it feels disgusting. You feel shame and guilt and remorse and disgust about what you find. If that's you, if that's where you are as you do this deep level of self-inquiry and self-discovery, the key is to be gentle with yourself, to be compassionate, to not belittle yourself or hurt yourself even more as you go through that time of feeling those things. It can be really hard to come in contact with these aspects of ourselves, these parts of ourselves that we've wanted to avoid for so long, we've pushed down for so long. We haven't wanted to know the truth. We haven't wanted to remember the reasons why we developed this conditioning. So if you're at that period where it's really challenging, just remember to be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Speak to yourself in a nourishing tone. Don't talk down to yourself. Soothe that inner child. Soothe. Nourish. Have compassion for the inner child. Eventually, it won't be so hard, and you'll be able to see the fruits of your labor. But there are always layers. Inner work is a continuous cycle. There's ups and downs, just like any kind of relationship, any kind of work, any kind of season it's going to be up and down. Everything's up and down. So don't get attached to the challenging aspects of inner work, and don't get attached to the rewarding aspects of inner work. It all just comes and goes in waves, because inner work, as I've said before in a past video, is multi-layered. So you will come upon a new layer with revelations and challenges and rewards, and you'll ride that for a while. You'll integrate that healing. And then you'll go into a deeper level of healing. And it's okay. It's all part of it. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It's not meant to be all hard, and it's not meant to be all rainbows and fairy dust, pixie dust, whatever they say. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.